What is your thought on what you just heard from the congressman? And how often do you hear the phrase blood for oil in Venezuela?
Joe, thank you for that question, because it's a question that we absolutely need to reframe here. And I am certain that every Venezuelan will support what I'm about to say. This is not blood for oil, and this is not about regime change. We voted these people out legitimately last year. We voted for Maria Corina Machado and her running mate, Edmundo González Urrutia, and Nicolás Maduro stole the election, didn't have proof for it, so he's essentially a dictator. For 25 years, he has been torturing, imprisoning people, leading to the largest refugee crisis practically in the world, definitely in our hemisphere. 8 million Venezuelans have left, which has provoked refugee crisis and immigration crises all over the Americas, including in the United States. This provoked a humanitarian crisis where in a country with so many barrels of oil, you didn't even have medicine or food. And if I may, I know it firsthand because I lost my father during that humanitarian crisis because of the lack of medicine. So this is a catastrophe that is happening, a 2.5-hour flight from Miami in our hemisphere, continuous human rights abuses that is also, by the way, spreading influence to places like Colombia, like Mexico, like Peru, and destabilizing the entire region. So this is absolutely not about oil. This is about us as a nation wanting to come back to the fold of Western democratic nations and to the values that those nations represent. And I believe it's in the interest of the United States and every single American citizen to want that as well. We have tried by every means necessary, including democratic means, to get rid of this regime. But again, as I mentioned before, Nicolás Maduro was a puppet, and you saw in his foolish, embarrassing, almost buffoonish behavior in the way that he reacted to President Trump's threats and to the buildup in the Southern Caribbean that he's clearly not calling the shots here. I am worried about right now these two power brokers that have already on the ground reacted to the news and seem to be vying for this power vacuum. Padrino Lopez and Diosdado Cabello, way more powerful and way more fearsome than Nicolás Maduro.
Mariana, I'm so sorry to hear about your father. I know that life in Caracas and Venezuela has been incredibly difficult over the last couple of years. But I do want to follow up on what you just said about these other power brokers who are in position and already vying for the job. How possible, how realistic is it for these democratic opposition leaders like Maria Machado to even, we're not even sure she's in the country, to get back into the country, to get back into power? The population of Venezuela has shown over and over again they want democracy. They are voting for other people. But those elections have not held, and there's a reason for that. It's because they don't hold the military. They don't hold the seat of power. What do you do from here? How do these people get back into the country and take hold of the reins of democracy if they are even existing at this moment?
I'm going to be very, very blunt, Christina. I think that it is not possible without the pressure and the help of the United States. So I think the most logical next step for Maria Corina Machado, and she is believed to still be outside of Venezuela, is to now meet with President Trump and to gain his full support in terms of trying to get back to Venezuelan oil so that she can truly lead a transition. This is not about regime change. This is about what we Venezuelans voted for and restoring the constitutional order. But she has no money. She has no army. She doesn't have access to the oil reserves. And this is a population that is terrified of these people that have been ruling Venezuela for 2 decades. And I may add, who do they have the full support of in terms of knowing how to do this and how to truly subjugate a populace? Cuba. You cannot underestimate the interest of the Cuban regime in maintaining these power brokers in Venezuela so they can keep getting barrels of oil and keep functioning as well. If Venezuela falls, Maria Machado has said it is a possibility, and I believe that's what Marco Rubio wants. It is a possibility that Cuba may fall as well, and then you have, of course, Nicaragua. So it could be a domino effect, very much like the Soviet Union, if in fact Venezuela falls. So you have other countries that are also interested in keeping these people in power and that have been controlling. Cubans are heavily involved in the security of this inner circle, in daily ways of life in Venezuela for over 2 decades, as we know.
You talked earlier about Pedrino Lopez, who's the head of the military. Is there any wiggle room there? Is there any world in which, I know he's a Maduro loyalist, is there any world in which he's pragmatic enough to look at the power of the United States, to look at where the winds are going and switch sides and support the will of the people? It's not unheard of in power vacuums like this to see the military take charge and at least nominally say they're going to call for elections. Does that seem like the logical next step, even if he doesn't really want democracy, that the military steps up and say, we will support the will of the people? Or do you think they're going to stay with the line that they support Maduro and they're waiting for him to come back or to find out what happened to him?
No, I think they already made their move, and their move was for Maduro to be removed. Their whole structure has remained. So I do believe that this could be, as I mentioned before, a negotiated exit, and maybe they're going to call for elections. But I think the main takeaway here for our listeners who are trying to understand Venezuela is that if any of these 4 people remain in the country, and I'm sorry, my light just went out. If any of these 4 people remain in the country, Padrino López, Diosdado Cabello, Delcy Rodriguez or Jorge Rodriguez, it is not going to be a removal of this regime. It is going to be a reshuffling. These people are much more brutal. These people now know what the United States is capable of, so they are likely to be way more repressive with the population. So we absolutely, in order for this to be a victory for the United States and for the Trump administration, these 4 power brokers need to be removed as well. And I wouldn't believe their word for it at all if they say that they are going to play by the rules, et cetera, et cetera. These people, again, have committed heinous human rights abuses in Venezuela for decades, and if they remain, it's just going to be worse for the population.